Hello everyone and welcome back to Jessie Kate Creates. It's Jessica here and today we are going to be making a graduation card. So I think we are just going to jump right in. Today's card is going to be a shaker card, a flat shaker. And we're going to be using some pattern paper and some die cutting. So to start with, I have this pattern paper. It's just some really cute little graduation hats being thrown in the air. This is a double-sided paper. Oh, I have it upside down. This is a double-sided paper, but I'm going to be using this side featuring the graduation caps. Yeah, so the first thing I want to do is cut this down to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off screen. And here we are with our cut piece of paper. Now, this paper that I got, it's relatively thin. I picked it up at Michael's because I need some graduation cards for a craft fair I'm doing. But the paper is really thin. So what I've done with this piece of paper, I just went to the scraps of white cardstock I have in my stash, and I just found a piece that could fit on most of the back of this. It's not perfect, and that's okay. But that way that this piece is a little bit more sturdy, because otherwise it was just too thin, I felt like, to do the technique I wanted to do. So that is why I backed my pattern paper with cardstock. If you are using a kind of thicker, more lush pattern paper, like if you are using like die cuts with a view or Echo Park, or even I feel like the paper that's in the Recollection paper pads is usually thicker. This just was a single piece of pattern paper that I purchased and it was really thin. So if you have thick paper, you don't need to back it, but since this was thin, I decided that backing it would be the best thing to do to add a little bit of stability. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is make the shaker pocket on this. So for a flat shaker, you need a clear piece of plastic. You don't need anything super thick. I'm actually just going to use a piece of packaging. So I have a little piece cut down here, but I kind of want to show you what I mean about cutting down packaging. So here we go. So like anytime I buy something that comes in these, like, I don't know if you can see that, comes in these like plastic sleeves, I save these because these are perfect for making flat shakers, okay? So what I've done is I've just gone ahead and cut down a piece already, piece of packaging. And I didn't measure it. I just wanted there to be, I don't know how well you guys can see this. Maybe if I put down, let's see if this works better. Can you see it better here? Yeah, I think so. So I just wanted there to be at least 1/2 inch all the way around, but I just eyeballed it. I didn't measure it exactly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tape on 3 sides and I'm going to fold up 3. Oh, actually first, before I put the tape on, one thing I like to do is kind of cut into the corners just to take out a little bit of the bulk. I'm not being exact with this, and I'm not going to the very, very tippy corner. Like, can you see that I left? There's space there. And I leave a little bit of space so that none of the shaker bits can fall out. So it will overlap a little bit, but it won't be too bulky. And hopefully you'll see that better in a minute here once I fold the edges over. So, like I said, I'm going to apply tape to 3 of these edges, but not to the 4th. We're going to leave that open because we need there to be a pocket, a way for us to fill our pocket that we're making. So there we go. Start with the bottom. I'm just going to fold it over. Okay. Then I'll come over and fold over one of the sides. And because I didn't cut all the way to the corner, hopefully you can see that, there is just this little bit, there we go, there's that little bit that'll overlap, so when I fold it over, it'll keep everything tucked inside. You see that little bit of overlap? It'll keep everything inside so I don't have to worry about shaker bits falling out. I have found that that works well for me when I make these flat shakers. You can give it a try and see if it works well for you. If it doesn't, that's okay. Now the next thing I'm doing, when I'm folding over this third flap, I'm not pulling it as tight as I can, right? Because if you pull it too tight, there's not really enough room in there for the contents to shake around. So I wrap it over, but I'm not like stretching it super tight. That way there will be space for everything inside to shake around. Okay, so at this point, we have our little pouch with an opening, and this is where we're gonna fill it with our shaker bits. Now for this card, I just wanna make a graduation card that could be used for any school, for any occasion. So I'm gonna keep it classic, and I think I'm gonna use gold, and I think I have black. If I can find black confetti, I think I'll use that. Yes, I do. It's kind of like purpley black, but it'll work. So I have those. Do I want to add a third color? Like, do I want to do gold or like little bits of white? Or, so let me show you what I'm doing off camera. So I have a whole drawer full of like confetti and shaker bits. This is not all of it. There's more. I was not planning on showing this today, but I guess that's what I'm doing. So I have this one too. These I picked up from Target years ago. I spill these all the time, so you got to be careful with these ones. But I just have some different glitter and confetti bits. And last year I thought I had purchased some graduation hats. Yes, here they are. Okay. I'm not convinced I'm going to use those yet, but I might. So I want to have them out. Do I want to use these? I really don't know if I want to use this. Okay, let's start. I know I want to use the black and the gold. Now, one thing I will say, I find that these flat shaker cards work best with flat confetti, like large, chunky, flat glitter. Like fine glitter, like this stuff, I don't like to use for my flat shaker cards because I feel like it just sticks all over the plastic. And I don't like to use like sequins, like cupped sequins, because they don't shake super well when I make mine. But this flat confetti just moves around so freely inside the pouch. So I really like to use that when I'm making my shaker cards. And both of these, I think I got both of these at Michael's. I know that Michael's sells these big things of them. I know sometimes they'll sell little like collections of confetti and glitters. And I think that's how I got these in some different little collection kits that had like 4 or 5 different confettis and glitters. But I don't know for sure. I also get some of mine. I know Martha Stewart has some, and they used to always be at Tuesday morning. So I know I've picked some up there. So wherever you can find glitter, it works just fine. Now, I don't want to overfill. I don't want to overfill these guys. Like, I want there to be enough that it's really fun and moving around, but I don't want it to be like a bloated pouch. So we'll start with a little, and I can always go in and add more. Ooh, might be a bit much. Let's see. How is that? I might add a little bit more of this. Oops, not that much. I'm just going to do a test drive. Oh, I think that's good. Oops. Okay. Now that all came out because I hadn't sealed that edge. That is totally on me, but I just wanted to see how it looked, if it looked like it had enough glitter or not, and I think it does. I think it has a good amount of glitter in there. And I actually think I'm not going to add the graduation caps. I kind of like the way it looks without them. Just going to kind of scrape down these loose bits. I don't know if this actually does anything, but I feel like it helps get rid of the static sometimes. I could be completely lying, or that might not actually work, but it's what I like to do. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and seal off my pouch. So just put a strip of glue. And again here, you wanna close it, but you don't wanna be like pulling it the tightest that you can, because you want there to be a little bit of slip. Not slip, but you don't want it to be so tight that the glitter can't move, you know? So I don't pull too tight on those edges. And now we have a nice contained pouch. What way does it go? I think it goes this way. I think that's right. I think the caps go this way. Okay, there we go. So you could put anything on top of this. You could just put like, congratulations, happy graduation, whatever you want to put on top of this, you could totally put on top of this. What I am going to put on top of this today is some, I don't have any graduation themed stamp sets, but I can take what I do have and make it work for me. So the first thing we're going to use is some number dies. So this is a set of number dies that I picked up at Spellbinders a few months ago. This is the birthday wishes for everyone. It was their large die of the month in February 2021. I just picked it up at some point when it was on sale on their website, but I love the big size of these numbers. They're great. So what I did was I just die cut out 2022. I die cut it out of white cardstock and also out of gold cardstock. So let me show you. I die cut 2 layers out of white and glued those together. And then I die cut 1 layer out of gold and I will glue that on top just to add a little bit of dimension to my numbers. Let me zoom in a little. Whoop. Hopefully that's a little better. But yeah, so I will just glue all of these together. And I die cut everything off camera, and I did already glue the white ones together. So now I'm just gonna go through and use my wet glue to just add glue and adhere the gold pieces on top so that they're nice and lined up. And I will come back once I have all of these glued together. Okay, so I'm back. I've die cut out my numbers and glued them all together. And my next step here is going to be to adhere them to the front of this. I kind of want them, initially I wanted it to go across the card, but the letters are the numbers are too big for that. Even if I turn it on its side, you can't fit all 4 of them. So what I decided to do instead that I thought would still be cute is to do like a little, the numbers, oops, together like this. I thought that would be really, really adorable. So I'm just gonna glue them down like this to the card. Now, to make this easier, because I want to make sure they're lined up nicely, I am going to use some press and seal? Press and seal. Yes, it is called press and seal. But first, I'm going to use the grid on my little craft mat. I'm going to leave a little gap because I am going to put a little sub-sentiment in between it. Oh, I think that might be a little much. I actually want it to be a little closer. But this way I can just try to keep the numbers relatively straight. Are they going to be perfect? No. And that's okay. But I think that looks relatively good. Okay, so now it's time for press and seal. So now I have to find my piece of press and seal. I just had it, you guys. I promise you, before I started filming this video, I had cut a piece and pulled it and set it to the side so I'd be ready for it. And now, of course, I cannot find it.
2,000 years later.
So I am back. I have a piece of press and seal. I had to get a new piece. I couldn't find my old used piece. I like to reuse my press and seal because I feel like the first time or two I use it, it's so sticky that sometimes it leaves little sticky bits, especially if I'm using foiled cardstock like I am here. So what I'm gonna do is the same thing that I would do if I was using like painter's tape. I'm just gonna press it to my hand 1 or 2 times. It is still gonna be very sticky, I promise you, but it just gets rid of some of the like super excess stickiness that I find press and seal can have sometimes when I use it for my paper. If that is never an issue for you, then you can just skip that step, but I like to do it. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, oh shoot. Okay, we're gonna try that again. I was too slow. Okay, so we're gonna line these up again. It's not straight. That needs to come up a little. Okay, now I think that's even, so I'm just gonna set it down and press. There we go. The press and seal didn't like go over it all perfectly, but the numbers are all together. There we go. Now to get it from here to here, I'm gonna use a combination of wet glue and dry adhesive. So I'm gonna use a little bit of my tape runner. And I am using this so that like there will be a little bit of an immediate hold once I get it in place. Otherwise, glue, if I just put wet glue onto this plastic, it will take a very long time to dry on its own, and the numbers could move around, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna do a little bit of this. I'm also gonna do a couple dabs of wet glue so that I do have a little bit of wiggle room. With a lot of stuff, I like to use a combination of wet and dry glue because it does give you a lot more initial wiggle room. Okay, just doing a couple dots here and there. Boom. Okay, so now we're gonna try to line this up. Uh-oh, is my corner leaking? It is. The tiniest bits are leaking out of that corner, but I will show you how we fix that when we mount it to the card. I don't need to worry about it quite yet. Okay. I'm gonna pick this up. Just to come over this way a little. There we go. And twist it a little. You see how that wet glue is letting me just kind of move and adjust this? There we go. I think that's good. So now I'm going to press down. And because I have the tape runner, it's going to hold those in place. Ta-da! And now I have my numbers on this card nice and straight. Okay, perfect. So the next thing I'm going to adhere is my sub-sentiment. For that, I'm using another stamp set. Well, I guess the first stamp set, really. This stamp set is the Art Deco stamp set from Neat and Tangled. It is an old stamp set. You guys, I really just went through my supplies and my stash and saw like, what do I already have that I could use? So I saw this stamp set that I do not use practically ever. I do use it for swatching, but otherwise I don't use it that much. I really should because there are a ton of great sentiments in here. but it has one that says "You did it," and I thought that was perfect. So I stamped that down onto some black cardstock and I white embossed it. So I just used my Versa Mark ink to white emboss on black cardstock my sentiment. And I did layer it up a little. I just took like, I don't know, maybe 3 layers of black cardstock. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? I just put a couple layers of black cardstock just so that this piece would be a little sturdier. And I want it right there, and I think I want to pop that up. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit of foam tape. This is just 1/4 inch foam tape that I buy on Amazon. Though I am looking to start buying my foam tape elsewhere. I've really been trying to cut back on shopping via Amazon, but I've been having a hard time finding another place for foam tape. So yeah, but anyway, okay. So I just want this I'm just eyeballing, well, probably shouldn't be eyeballing it. I'm not pressing the foam tape down yet. Let me get my ruler because I can't tell if that's straight. Yeah, that is definitely not straight. Ah, well, don't stick. Is that better? I think that's better. Okay, so I'm gonna press that down. So now, better or not, it is stuck. Ta-da, 2022, you did it. Okay, so this is going to be our card front. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just hit my camera with the ruler. Okay, so now I need to adhere this down to a card base. And I thought this would look really great on a black card base. Look at that. Oh, doesn't it just pop? Okay, so now my corner, one of my corners is leaking a little glitter, and we're gonna fix that here just by making sure we tape very well all the way to the edges over all of our corners. Whenever I have a leaky corner, this fixes it for me. There might be other ways to close it off, I don't know, but I just find that this is what works for me, so that's how I fixed it. It was just with a lot of tape. Okay. Now you can see there's some places my tape kind of went over the edge there, so I'm just gonna fold it back. I got that in a couple places because I did try to get right up to the edge with my tape. And now really quick, when I shake it, you can see nothing is falling out, whereas before when I was shaking it from that corner, you could see a lot of stuff was falling out before, and now it's all contained because of the tape. So I just want to make sure my card base is opening the right way, and it is. And I'm going to adhere this down. Boom! Look at that. I'm just going to go around and press that in really well. Okay, perfecto. I love that for the front of our card. How fun, right? Okay, so now I want to do the inside of the card. So I'm going to take a piece here. I have a piece of white cardstock. This just measures 4 by 5 1/4. And for this, I'm using yet another stamp set. And y'all, this has to be absolutely one of my favorite stamp sets. I get so much use out of this stamp set. This is from the Ton. It is called Penned Sentiments. And you can probably see that pretty much every stamp in this set has been used multiple times. I love this stamp set. It is so versatile. I can use it on so many projects. So one of the words in this set is congratulations, and it also has on your graduation. So I am just pairing them up for the inside of the card. So I've just gone ahead and I've mounted those two stamps onto an acrylic block. You could use a stamp positioning tool for this, but I feel pretty comfortable just freehanding it. So that's what I'm gonna do. There we go. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you do know that a lot of times I take a lot of time to get it lined up on my block. But once it's lined up on my block, I can usually stamp it pretty good. There we go. Look at that. It might be slightly crooked, but no, actually I think it's pretty good. The other thing I'm gonna do, and if you've watched any of my other videos where I use pattern paper, then you've seen me do this before. I'm just gonna take this little bit of pattern paper and adhere it down to the bottom. And this piece is just like 4 by ½ inch. You could use a smaller scrap if you have it. You could use a bigger scrap if you want to. It really doesn't matter the size of this. This is just how I like to do the inside of my cards when I use pattern paper. There we go. Adhered that down. So now we need to tape this to the inside of our card. I really like this card. I think it's super duper fun. You could do it with a ton of different pattern papers, and just by changing up what you put on, you know, the front and the inside of the card, you could have about 20 million different cards. You could do this as a birthday card or as a thinking of you or an anniversary, just by changing up, you know, the pattern paper and the numbers. Oh, this could be really sweet as an anniversary card if you put like the year they got married and you had some pretty like wedding or floral paper. That would be really cute, right? Okay, so this is the completed card. We have our fun confetti that moves and shakes. We have our sentiment on the inside. I really love this. And something else that's fun about this design, if you decide to make some graduation cards, is that you can make this in any color. So like I said, I'm doing a craft fair. Well, I have a couple craft fairs coming up. So I wanted to have some graduation cards that anyone could use. But I also made a couple in the colors of some local schools. So this one, you can see there's a high school and their colors are red and blue and white. So I did this one. It's the same card. I just changed up the colors a little bit. Inside is the same, but the sky's the limit on the different color combinations. And you could, you know, use a card base. That's one of their colors too. For this one, I added in, I don't know if you can tell, I had some little silver stars. So I added those in to the mix. So yeah, so for our card, I want to do a matching envelope. So I have here, it's kind of like a golden colored envelope. This is antique gold. It is from the Notable line on clearbags.com. It's bag number EA201. I'll try to remember to link that into the description box below. But to make a matching envelope for this card, I'm going to keep it really, really simple. I am just going to stamp the word congratulations on the flap of the envelope. Again, I think it would be really cute if you have a graduation themed stamp set to like stamp a grad cap or a stole or something on the front maybe, or on the flap, but I don't have that. So what I'm going to do, I took this stamp set. This is from Stampin' Up. It's called Floral Phrases. I bought this stamp set from a secondhand store, but any stamp set you have that maybe has the word congratulations or something else that could be graduation related will work. So I've just lined this up in my stamp positioning tool. I took out the foam mat since these are rubber stamps. But you can see I've just lined it up so it's going to lay right across. Oh, you can't see. I'm out of frame. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. That's better. So now you can see I've just lined up the stamp so they'll stamp right on the flap. Now to ink this, I think I'm going to use I'm thinking Stardust from Concord and Ninth would give a really cool tone-on-tone look. So let's give it a shot and hopefully this works. Let's put this in frame so you can see. There we go. I'm just going to ink this up. Now the reason I decided to use a stamp positioner for this is because if this does not show up very well, I can stamp it a few times, or if need be, I can stamp over it in black. Ooh, but that looks pretty good. Okay, we'll stamp it again to deepen it up. Just pressing lightly and giving it a few seconds to transfer. And I think I will stamp it one more time and we should be good. I really like that though. I think this ink is great for a tone-on-tone look with this cardstock. That's perfect. Okay. So there we have it. So that is our, oh, we'll set that to the side. So now we have a card and a matching envelope. I think those are great together. So that's the completed little set. I know it's not much for the envelope, but I think it just adds a little extra something something to it. So there we go. Now I did do this card. I also did this card in another color, and I did the envelope to match. I did the exact same thing, just a red envelope. And for this one, I did red and blue for a local school. And I think those look really nice together. I really love these cards. You can totally use whatever you have in your stash. You don't have to have the exact number die set I use. If you have any numbers, that can work. If you use a electronic cutting machine like Silhouette or the Cricut, you could use those to cut out the numbers. You know, if you have a congrats, you could put that here instead of you did it. Whatever you have on hand, you can make these cards. If you do, I would love to see what you create. You can always share your creations on Instagram and tag me. I'll have my Instagram in the description box below. It's just Jessie Kate Creates. I'd love to see what you make. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I can't wait to see you in the next time. Happy crafting, guys. Bye.